The story starts in the village of Karatsu, where a 15-year-old boy named Zioris is casually chilling out. Suddenly, a giant portal opens out of nowhere as a 14-year-old girl named Rise walks through it. It is mentioned that she is Zio's childhood friend. Just when she is yapping about something, a knife comes flying. It is thrown by another 13-year-old kid named Fam, who seems to have hit her growth hormones a bit early. Keep her away from Drake at all costs. Both Fam and Rise explain that they are here because Zio promised to teach them magic and sword fighting. They start the training, and Zio also notices that Fam would be a perfect Diddy victim and wonders how much better her weapons will get in a few years. After going hard on Rise, they decide to take a break from their sussy training and chill for a moment. Rise brings up the fact that Zio is about to join a vocational school. There is a rule in the Karatsu village that anyone who turns 15 goes to this school to develop a skill. Rise and Fam then start glazing Zio by saying that he is already skilled at magic and sword fighting, and that he'll easily develop some skill. Zio says that he just wants something simple where he can connect with nature and chill even though he was good at magic since birth. 10 days go by and he reaches the capital city called Gillis, where he immediately meets a femboy wearing cat ears. He is there to join the school and notices that the whole place is like an Instagram comment section because it heavily involves racism and slavery. Zio then meets a strange man who thinks that out of all people, Zio can be a great slave merchant. He passes the offer like a used bop and says he needs to lay low for now so that he can join the school tomorrow. When the time comes, he goes to the school and sees that the creators of this manhwa have tried to justify their messed up attraction to furries by adding something called demi-humans. While he notices that everyone hates slave merchants here, their hot teacher named Nurse starts to make an announcement. I really hope she is not a minor like the rest of the characters. She explains how everyone will get their identity card, which is basically a card that will tell them what job they will get trained for. She says that they have to grab a regular black card and pull a Michael Jackson on it by turning it white. Then you have to insert the card inside a divine crystal, which will tell you in your head what your identity will be. They will know that the black crystal worked when it turns bright, just like Michael Jackson. She also makes it clear that they will get multiple choices in their head, and they have to choose one and write it down on the identity card. After they're done, they just have to submit the card and start their training for the job. Zio overhears other people and figures out that being a knight is considered the best job, but he wants something less hectic. While listening to this, he sees an elf that he finds attractive. Just like this, he is next in line with his identity card. He is asked about his personal information, like name and residence, and then he is told to put it inside the crystal. Freaky crystal. The first title he gets is of a great hero. He sees in his mind that this title has only been offered to one person 400 years ago during the great battle between man and demon and is the highest title. Zio denies this because he thinks it would be too much to handle and moves on to the next title, which is the exact opposite. The next one is the Demon Emperor, which obviously is the strongest title amongst demons. This also only appeared 400 years ago during the man versus demon battle. The third option is the same crap, just with elves this time. And to make things interesting, the fourth option he gets is a slave merchant. He gets confused and can't decide whether to burden himself with the first three or drown in embarrassment with the fourth one. The attractive elf he saw earlier walks in and mentions that she wants to be a slave merchant as well. Lil Bro instantly simps over the huzz and says that he will be a slave merchant too. Then, the next day, he is sitting in the Golden Lion classroom, which is only for high-class students who have rare titles like knights. Two girls start to bully Zio, but the elf comes and saves him. Their teacher then gives them all a paper that has all the information about the class and where they will live. After the class, Zio is going to the dorm room when he meets the elf, and they introduce themselves to each other. Her name is Patty, and they find out that their room is side by side, which is something that makes Zio nervous. Zio later goes to properly register himself and meets a woman named Melina who offers to teach him the basics of being an adventurer. He finds her very sus because of the way she acts. The next morning, they meet their teacher named Nurse, who tells them that they will do practical classes. This means that she will be taking them to a live Instagram comments section where they will be able to buy slaves. Nears wants them to learn through experience, and she also tells Zio that the location of this slave auction is a secret and that if he reveals it to someone, he will be in grave danger. After this, they go to a strange and serious man who turns out to be super zesty and lets them in through a secret door where the Instagram auction is being held. They sit down as a super jacked slave is being sold for 100,000 of their currency. But it is revealed that Homie had mad beef with his previous owner and smoked him, so no one wants to buy this jacked slave. They later bring out a young female elf, and people immediately start bidding millions upon millions on her. Patty sees this and buys her for 4 million and later explains that she wants to free all elf slaves aside from the ones that actually committed crimes. Zio sees this act of kindness and thinks that being a slave merchant isn't that bad after all because he can buy the innocent slaves and free them or get their help to make his village better. But Lil Bro needs to chase the bag and stack some bread before doing all this. Because of this, he goes to Melina and learns that as an adventurer, they can do quests and make some money, and he finds a nice quest according to his rank and decides to go there. The quest is that they need to gather some rare leaves from a forest. While walking there, Zio realizes that he can do more in this quest if he gathers some crystals alongside the leaves. Suddenly, they see smoke coming from within the forest, and Zio says that they should go check it out. Melina starts tweaking out because she thinks that the point where the smoke is coming from is too far away and dangerous. Zio explains how he has powers and can defend himself if something goes wrong, so if she doesn't want to come, he can go alone to help those people. After hearing this, she simps on him, thinking that he is all-powerful, and tags along with him to see what the deal is with the smoke. When they enter that point, they see that the place is filled with goblins. Melina starts tripping balls at first because she gets super scared, but Zio claims that he can handle the situation. He says that he will wipe them all out easily and that Melina only has the job to pick up the magic stones afterwards. Just when the goblins are about to attack, Zio knocks them all out with a single blow. Melina is more than shocked to see this because according to Zio, his dark magic is super rare. But there is also a queen goblin that survived the attack and can be lethal now. But Zio makes a spear out of his magic and throws it right at the queen. She is obviously defeated by this attack, and all that is left to do is collect the magic stones. Melina immediately gathers all the stones, and they head back to see Alina, who is in charge of all the adventurers. Melina explains how they went to the forest to collect the leaves, and now they're reporting back. Alina finds these activities very sussy because gathering those leaves should take more than a day. But when she learns that Zio defeated a village of goblins and collected the magic stones, she immediately calls her superior. His name is Blazer, who is the guild master, not to be confused with the grill master. Shout out to my boy Piccolo. Anyways, they go to Blazer, who confirms that they actually did this quest and have made more money than high-ranking people make in a year. Zio receives the award of 18 million guilds, which is their currency. Zio and Melina then leave, and he gives Melina 3 million just for tagging along with him. Meanwhile, another woman, who I really hope is not a minor as well, is listening to them from an alley. After a few days, Zio is just chilling walking around when he overhears that a young adventurer just got cooked by someone. He doesn't think that a young adventurer might be someone he knows. Alina takes him inside and he meets the woman named Hubenta who is the vice master of this guild. Blazer is also there with her and they suspect Zio of doing something and he is confused about it. They clarify that they suspect him for what has happened to the young adventurer. He explains that at the time it happened, he was in his dorm room and didn't leave it for a long time. He then says that he's going to go and warn Melina to be careful. Alright, who's going to tell Lil Bro? Even Blazer is shocked at this and tells Zio to sit down for this one. They tell him that it was indeed Melina who got smoked last night and isn't there with them anymore. He gets up and decides to walk out of there knowing that he isn't a suspect anymore. He claims that if someone grilled her for the money she had then he has more money, and if they come for him he will turn them into pulp. Homie is 13. He imminently goes to the place where the Melina incident happened and starts using his dark magic. He manages to bring only her spirit back to this realm so that he can talk to her and investigate. She is happy to talk to him again and starts telling him about who did the deed. She explains that there was a woman and 3 men who did this to her. The woman was a high-ranking dark-skinned woman and it is the same woman who was in the alley. They decide to visit an information broker and ask for this woman. Zio gives the broker 1 million guilds and in return he tells him that based on description the woman has to be Nasha, who is a high-ranking fire mage that can be very dangerous. He also adds that Zio can find her in an arena for betting because there is a betting tournament tomorrow, while completely ignoring the fact that Melina's spirit could only be here for a little time. Both of them come to the tournament tomorrow and see that it is already over. Because of this, they go to the bookmaker to find her and find one of her men that Melina recognizes. They follow him and finally find Nasa and the 3 men. Zio asks him why she did it, and she explains that she obviously did it for the money. Zio gets mad at them, and Nasha orders her 3 men to take him down. The first man attacks him but accidentally chops off the other man's legs. They don't understand what's happening until Zio explains that he can control other people's bodies with his dark magic. We all know at least one guy who wants this power. Zio finishes off all 3 men all by himself. Pause. Once he is done with them, Nasha gets scared and tries to attack him. He starts putting a spell on her, and after a while, she starts seeing her own body. She doesn't understand what's happening to her, and Zio explains that he smacked the coffee out of her and separated her soul from her body. She is more than scared by this and keeps asking for forgiveness. Zio sees Melina's spirit standing by, so just for the plot, he takes Melina's soul, who is a minor, and puts it in an adult's body that happened to have huge melons. The FBI Loki needs to raid the creators. The scene then changes to Zio's room, where just to make things crazier, there is a naked furry on the bed. It is revealed that Nasha was a demi-human as well and hid that by wearing a magic ring. So it's not just a minor stuck in a bombastic hot adult body, it's also a furry with cat ears and a tail. Raid the creators now. She starts talking about how her life is in danger now because Nasha was affiliated with dangerous people, so Zio needs to keep her safe. But instead of doing that just normally, she offers to be his slave and please him in any way he wants. Absolute cinema and script written by Diddy himself. Moving on, we now get to see more of Patty, who wakes up and goes to see Zio and is shocked to see Nasha with her. Melina prefers that everyone call her Nasha now. Patty immediately starts tripping balls seeing this, as she finds a busty slave standing by Zio extremely sus. She confirms that they are not doing anything freaky with each other and feels a bit normal about it. Nasha explains that she was a slave in danger and is with Zio instead of the guild for protection. When Patty realizes that Zio is being considered stronger than the guild, she decides to take matters into her own hands. She takes her sword out and lunges at Zio with murderous intent. He successfully dodges the attack, and Patty agrees that bro is actually him. After this, Patty once again confirms that they are not getting freaky in their dorm room at night, and then chills out. Their teacher, Nuris, suddenly comes and mentions that they need to go to a slave auction right now. She sees Nasha and explains that she is fine with Zio having a slave, but she cannot come to the Instagram comment section unless she is a permanent slave. She explains that in this era where slaves are more common, most of the owners keep them as temporary and keep changing them, and those temporary ones can't go to a slave auction with their master. Zio is left with no choice but to make Nasha his permanent slave because he cannot go there without her since he has to protect her. At the slave auction, Zio manages to buy 2 slaves, one 16-year-old human girl with chef and tailor titles and a 12-year-old femboy with builder and baker titles. He will receive these slaves in the next auction, and he tells Nasha that he will have his hometown rebuilt with these slaves. But he is running out of bread and says that he has to go back to the guild to get more quests and chase that bag. But if he goes back, he has to explain the whole Nasha situation to Alina and everyone else. They walk inside the guild, and bro immediately wants to pull out like he forgot protection. He is beyond nervous about this, and they start to talk about what they should tell Alina. Zio asserts that they should just tell her what they told Patty, but Nasha says that Alina will see through the lies because she knows Melina too well. They are coming up with a reasonable lie when Nasha says she has a trick she can use, and they walk inside. Alina is not fazed at all at first, but then she realizes what is going on. She practically labels him as a male bop because of how quickly he swiped the huzz. Zio doesn't know how to defend himself in this one, so Nasha takes over and decides to speak the truth. She tells her that she actually is Melina just trapped in the body of someone else. Alina obviously doesn't believe this and starts asking questions. Nasha starts answering the questions, and after a 2-hour yap session, Alina finally believes that it actually is Melina trapped in Nasha's body. Now Alina wonders how all of this even happened. Nasha says that she was chopped up by this woman who was with 3 other men, and after a few days her soul was lingering when the real Nasha and her men got smoked by a mysterious person who replaced Melina's soul with Nasha. She tells this lie because they basically don't want anyone to know that a 12-year-old is out there giving people the JFK treatment. Alina understands for now and says that she will try her best to find the mysterious person responsible for this. For now, both of them are clear, and no one suspects anything. Nasha and Zio then walk out when we see that Blazer was hiding there all this time and he might be clapping Alina's cheeks. Game is game. After this, 20 days pass by, and everything has been normal. Nasha and Zio live together, and they have decided to meet Patty to eat food and hang out together. Patty comes in a nice skirt, and both of them are happy to see her. When they go and sit down, they realize that they haven't gotten their tickets to enter the main restaurant. Nasha says that she will go and get them, leaving Zio and Patty alone. Things are a bit awkward between them because of the way Patty tweaked out last time, but she thinks addressing it would be the best thing right now. While walking around, she brings it up and apologizes for the attempted murder, and Zio says that it is okay because he understands how she feels. While he said this, Patty was looking at a doll she liked but didn't buy. After that, Nasha comes back with the tickets and they go inside a very nice restaurant. After eating everything, Nasha says that she was really excited to meet Patty, and she also mentions that this is her first time making a female friend, and she really looks forward to being friends with her. While walking out, going back home, Zio gives her the doll she was eyeing, saying that he brought it for her. Lil Bro is moving like prime LeBron James. Just then, he sees that the slaves he bought are finally free, and they are going back to his village to work there. They show him gratitude and thank him for buying them and freeing them. But he is sending them back to his village, where they have to renew the whole thing, so basically they're not free, just under new management. While they leave for the village, Zio suddenly sees that Rise and Fam are here, and they know that Zio is a slave merchant. They are obviously complaining about Zio not sending them letters because it has been more than 20 days since he has been in this school. He explains that he completely forgot about their existence because he gets to clap a hot furry every night. Both Rise and Fam are curious about the other two, so Zio introduces Patty to Rise and Fam, saying that she is a friend from school. Patty mentions that she studies slave trading with Zio, and Rise demands an explanation on why Zio decided to become a full-time Instagram user and trade slaves. He does not want to make things worse, but before he can explain anything to them, Nasha exclaims that she is Zio's permanent slave and that they live, eat, and sleep together. Listening to this, the Hus get mad, turned off, and immediately leave. Zio wants to explain that he is not a bop because he doesn't do anything freaky with Nasha, but he tells Nasha and Patty that it is too late to chase them. He thinks that he needs to give them time and will sort things out later. After a while, he realizes that both Fam and Rise would have gone to eat at a restaurant, so they should go and find them. They end up going to an information broker, but they are met with a heavy crowd. A man explains there was a scene caused at a restaurant, and it was caused by the usual suspects. Not black people, women. Zio understands that it must have been Rise and Fam and asks the man where the women went. He explains that some mediators took them away. Mediators are people who get some bread by resolving issues. Zio thinks that as long as he pays them, there won't be a problem. When they reach the mediator headquarters, he thinks that Nasha would cause trouble because he doesn't want her to interact with Rise and Fam. He tells Nasha to wait outside while he walks in and sees the two mediators who are keeping Rise and Fam captive. They ask Zio who he is, and he explains that he is here to give someone a loan. Although they clearly understand that he is here for Rise and Fam when he offers a lot of money for the release of both of them. There is only one mediator, and the other is the victim, who claims that he was hurt by the women. He gladly wants to take the money, but Rise speaks up and calls the man a fraud. She explains how the man is Loki Delulu and thinks that he got jumped by the ops. He claims his bones are broken just to get more money for medical fees. Ever Zio can see that they are putting up a show just to get more money out of Zio. He asks to look at his injured arm, but he refuses to let him come near him, obviously because he is only acting. Zio then uses his magic on the man as everyone thinks that he hurt the man for lying. But as it turns out, the man says that he is fully healed from the back pain he has been having for years now. This means that Zio used a good spell and healed him of all his injuries, and the fact that he noticed his back pain going away before his arm injury is super sus. The mediator sees this and immediately offers Zio a job with very high pay. He doesn't even bother to deny it and straight up makes himself clear that the medical charges are now gone. The mediator smiles and says that the charges are indeed dropped, but he is increasing the normal ransom price. Just when they are arguing over this topic, Nasha walks in, wondering what's taking so long. The man recognizes her and claims that she is the same furry that stole his money. The mediator also claims he suffered the loss of millions to her, and will be keeping all three women to himself. Zio locks in and says that he is neither letting them take Nasha nor giving them a single penny. The mediator asserts that there is no other option left but to make things violent. He calls a few of his men, who walk in with weapons. They all attack him on the mediator's command but with a single gesture of his hand. While Nasha glazes Zio for being powerful, two other men named Mash and Ragger enter the chat. Mash notices all the bodies on the ground and understands that the little boy he is about to face is not to be underestimated. On the other hand, Zio also notices that both of these men are heavily loaded with magical weapons. In short, these people know their shit, so Zio really needs to lock in as hard as he can. Mash suggests that due to the awesomeness of their fight, they should step outside and begin their grand duel. While Zio has a sword in his hand and is fully primed to charge, the mediator makes an offer. He proposes that if Zio can defeat these two men, then he will forget everything, but if he loses, the Huz will stay as the payment. He has no other choice and agrees to this. Mash immediately flies in with the first attack while Ragger stays back. While both of them are fighting, Nasha remembers both of these men and says that they used to be high-ranking adventurers at the guild. Mash explains that he killed another high-ranking adventurer, which is why he left the guild and works as a bodyguard for this agency. Zio mentions that he is just a normal slave merchant, and Mash thinks he's lying, so he starts attacking him again. While all three minors simp over Zio and feed the creator's twisted fantasies, Mash changes his stance and attacks Zio with a surprise attack. The attack barely misses Zio's face, meaning that Mash almost took him out. Zio counters this by hitting Mash on the face with his knee and knocking him out. Ragger comes and attacks Zio as well, but Zio throws the same attack. As they go band for band, the attack gets cancelled out, and Ragger is shocked to see that Zio's magic is almost as strong as his. Mash also gets up even though Zio thought that he wouldn't get up from the blow. They realize how terribly they underestimated Zio, so Mash asks Ragger for the usual. The usual is physical body enhancement spells that can make anyone stronger. Ragger puts a fire-type enhancement spell on Mash, and with that, he throws a heavy punch at Zio that he manages to dodge regardless of the enhancement. Mash calls this a fluke and says that he dodged this luckily. Zio is tired of all of this at this point, so he reveals that he can use enhancement magic as well. Before Mash can think about anything else, Zio comes and hits him in the chest with a strong punch. Mash throws out blood from his mouth, and before he can recover from that, more punches hit his face, and he goes to his knees. When Mash gets knocked out, Ragger wants to attack as well, but before he can do that, he gets knocked out by Zio as well. The mediator is unable to believe what he just witnessed, so Homie immediately tries to dip. Before he can do that, the man who was with the mediator gets caught by chains. Zio used magic and demands that they hold their end of the promise because he has done his part. Both of them are scared shitless and immediately start begging for mercy. The mediator says that he will forget this ever happened, and Zio demands that he tell the two who are knocked out the same thing. He wants no one to know about the abilities he has. He then goes to Fam and the rest and says that they should go home now. Both of them are pretty chill with him now, but they still demand an explanation for everything. While sitting and eating together, he explains everything to them about Nasha and how he had to do what he did and how he has to protect her at all costs. Both Rise and Fam sympathize with Nasha and apologize to Nasha for the misunderstanding. While they are telling Zio to keep protecting her, Fam asks him why he is using his slave merchant title even though he has other strong titles. She knows this is because Mash was sensing those titles in him. He trusts them and tells them how strong his other hero, demon, and elf titles are. Knowing this, Nasha gets a little too excited about Zio and let's just say that he definitely needs enhancement magic tonight. So, the next day, they wake up, and Zio assures them that he talked to the landlord and that they can stay here for a few days. He tells them that he will be going to his class and afterwards to the guild to do some more quests and make some cash. They ask him why he joined the guild, and he explains how he needs a lot of money to buy slaves and send them back to his village. After that, they go to the guild where they meet Alina. Zio notices that Alina has been treating them nicer and wonders what happened. I guess Blazer's doing his job right. Alina then gives them the list of all the quests and requests that are available for Zio to do. Rise and Fam are also there, and they take a look at the list as well. While hitting the most autistic pose ever, Rise says that they will help Zio by tagging along with him. Just then, Alina walks in. She is curious about who the new people are, and Zio introduces them and asks if both of them can tag along on his quests. Already defending the BOP allegations, two more girls coming with Zio is extremely sus, so she immediately denies this. However, Fam wants her to know what she can do and how powerful they both are. She goes up to a man and asks to fight him and immediately smokes him. Alina sees what she can do and allows both of them to go with Zio. While going, Nasha is a bit worried and tells Rise to never drop her guard and be alert. She tells him to stay cool because nothing bad will happen, and even if it did, Zio will eliminate the threat. She still doesn't take things seriously and keeps walking. Suddenly, a monster cock comes on her face. Nasha tells her that the cock is too big for a 13-year-old to handle, but she still wants to try while using both hands. She hits the cock with a magic fire attack, but that doesn't do anything to it. The rooster starts following her while Nasha is very worried since it is considered very dangerous. While she is running, Zio comes and fries the rooster immediately so that they can eat it. Before they can do so, they hear more noise coming from the woods. They think that it is another giant cock, but some noble people come out of there looking for that cock. There is one woman who seems to be the leader, and she has a few men with her. They say that they are looking for a big cock but are shocked to see that some kids took their meat, and they are almost about to attack them. But before they can do that, the woman in charge tells them to stand down because they do not want to harm innocent lives in selfish acts. Zio sees that only the woman is in armored dressing and presumes that all of them are some bandits. The woman introduces herself as Altana and confirms that she indeed is the leader of this group. When asked, she tells Zio that they are not bandits but noble thieves. She explains that she was an adventurer as well, but she was considering changing her profession. One day, a group of bandits attacked her, and she managed to take them all out. Her guild title card also had a bandit leader title, so she became their leader. She also adds that she never wanted to be a bandit, which is why they became noble thieves. But the only question that's left to ask is, what do they even do? Altana enlightens that right now they were just looking for supplies, but in general they just whoop every bad person they can find. And she mentions slave merchants in the list of bad people. Zio knows that he will get cooked if he lets them know he is a slave merchant as well, so he tries to play it off by being cool. He says that the cock is too big for him to swallow alone, so he offers to share it with her. He offers the entire group of noble thieves his meat, and all of them are happy that they finally get to eat. Just when they are being grateful, he tells Nasha to share some of the meat they are eating, and she ends up calling him master in front of Altana. Altana thinks that Zio was pretending to be nice all along, and all the thieves decide to attack Zio. Since they are very low-ranking warriors, Zio easily manages to take all men at once. Altana is mad to see this and wonders how a slave merchant can be this strong. Before she can attack him, Zio uses his magic, bends her over, and starts to spank her. He does this just to make the power gap between them extremely clear. Sure, there were other ways to do that, but they had to make things spicy, so let's have minors spank each other. Anyways, after that, Zio gets a chance to finally speak and explain himself. He tells them how he turned into a slave merchant only to free slaves, and Nasha helps them understand it better. Once the misunderstanding is out of the way, Altana and all her men apologize to him and say that if he ever needs anything, they will be there for him. Before they leave, Altana stops and starts thinking about how she got the Diddy treatment moments ago. Thinking about that, she emphasizes the fact that she wants to experience 50 Shades of Grey with Zio again. The next day, Zio is calculating his expenditure and thinks that he is spending too much money, and is taking stress like he's an adult. Nasha notices this and asks him why he looks so stressed today. He explains that he is spending more money on Rise and Fam as well, but they are buying books and learning about how they can rebuild the village as well, so he cannot stop giving them money. So all he can do is chase the bag harder. Because of this, he goes to Alina to get more quests. Alina understands Zio's need for money, and knowing how strong he is, she offers him the hardest quest with the biggest reward that will take at least one day to complete. She also mentions that he needs to give a trial beforehand to apply for this quest, and that the client who gave this quest is a woman named Patty. He is shocked to know that his friend Patty has initiated this quest, so they decide to go and see her on the trial grounds. When they go there, they see that Patty is easily taking on 5 guys at once. Pause. Zio asks her about the quest and why she initiated it. Before she can explain that, the knocked out men get up and demand that Zio also give a trial and fight Patty just like they were fighting her. Patty explains that bro is him, and she doesn't need any proof of it. The men still don't believe and attack him all at once. Patty obviously has a teenage crush on Zio, so she starts imagining Zio protecting him. But her imagination gets torn apart when Zio tells her that he has already knocked out all the men. After this, Patty finally starts talking and tells him what the whole quest is about and why it is so dangerous. She explains that the quest is regarding her people. Basically, a bunch of random elves got kidnapped or some shit, and now it is their problem. Patty wants them to be rescued so she can set them free. Zio suggests that they should contact the government for such a large-scale problem. Patty explains that her people have mad beef with the government, so there is no one they can trust and that they have to take matters into their own hands. But she has no plans or strategies as to how they are even going to execute something like this. Zio suggests that bandits usually know about how groups like that move, so he will ask Altana and the rest of the bandits about this. But he has no clue how to find her again. After a while, Zio and Naha are walking when he says that he does not want to go to a shady informant again. Just as he says that, their hot teacher, Nurs, suddenly walks. She explains how she might have some knowledge regarding this matter. Zio also thinks that she knows a lot about the underworld slave stuff, so she might have something valuable to say. They sit down, and he explains how being a pimp for 3 minors made him broke, and while making some dough, he took a sussy quest where he had to rescue some peasants. Nurs doesn't know much about this, but Zio says that he is going to ask a bandit named Altana about this matter. Nurs gets shocked to hear that name, and it is very clear that she knows Altana. After asking how Zio knows her and how she is doing in life, she says that the best she can offer right now is to tell them where she might be. She takes a pen and paper and draws them a map of where they have to go to find her. Zio asks what exactly their relation is, and Nuris says that he will understand once he gets there. The map takes them to a shady bar where they doubt they will find anyone. But Altena is in fact present there. She gets excited to see Zio and immediately asks for the Christian Grey treatment again. But he already has a furry as a stand, so he denies the offer. They sit down, and after finding out that Altena was also close to Nuris as a student, Zio explains how they are trying to rescue a large group of elf slaves. Altena mentions that they were planning to raid the same people and free those slaves as well and would be glad if Zio joined them. Together, they decide to make a plan when she pulls out a map. They plan that there are going to be at least 10 carriages, so Alita and her men, with the help of Zio and Patty, will raid the carriages and free the slaves. They decide to leave at dawn tomorrow. The next day, everyone is fully armored, including Patty and her men. Zio and Nasha feel a bit left out because they are wearing normal clothes, but all of the noble thieves respect them regardless. Altena comes and says that their carriages are ready and they should leave right now. When they arrive at the location, they all split up and hide just as they planned so that they can attack when the slaves come. While waiting, we learn Altena's men are either genuinely nice and want to protect Zio, or they might be trying to pull a Drake by getting close to Zio. Whatever the case, they notice that Patty and her squad have attacked before they planned to. A message comes through, and they understand that Patty heard a baby crying in the slave carriages, so she got emotional and ruined the whole plan. Zio tells all the men to go and reinforce Patty because he can take care of himself. All the men realize that Zio is actually beating up the bad guys and that they are winning and can actually free the slaves. Patty goes to the carriage where she heard the crying and frees them. Zio is still going down on men when he senses something different. He goes to the carriage where he sensed this and encounters the steroid's final boss. It is a man too big to be called a human. He claims that he was the one who was smuggling all these slaves away, and that he will lose 1 billion gold if he lets them take away all the slaves. He also has a nun hostage, and when Zio tries to attack him, he threatens to end the life of this nun. Zio analyzes the situation and realizes that he cannot use any big attacks because cannot afford to hurt the nun and the rest of his people are also fighting nearby. He uses body enhancement magic and makes himself physically stronger. As the trend final boss is yapping about how strong he is, Zio comes in and hits his chest with a strong physical attack. Blood starts pumping out of his mask as the nun falls down and he drops on the ground. He turns around and sees that everyone else is finished as well and that they have won the battle. While everyone is celebrating and freeing all the slaves, the nun comes and wants to show gratitude to Zio in person. She introduces herself as Thea and is surprised to see that Zio is a slave merchant who frees slaves. Speaking of seeing, Zio notices that her eyes are closed at all times and thinks she might be Daredevil. But she opens her eyes and says that she has them closed all the time on purpose so that she can focus on the magic in this world. Zio understands that she sees other people's mana this way, and prefers to perceive the world that way instead of actually seeing it with her eyes. He asks her what kind of mana she sees coming off of him and she describes that she sees 4 different colors of mana that are very overwhelming and rare except for one. He realizes that she can see her titles, so he doesn't want her to tell anyone about his mana. He then asks her how she can do this type of magic, and she explains that she was a holy maiden of a church where she was called a saint of kindness and love. Zio instantly gets scared because he thinks she can see his hero title and will drag her into being that instead. While he is thinking that he instantly needs to cut her off, she says that she cannot go back to her church because she wants to stay with him. Bro's Riz game needs to be studied. He tells her to go back to the church, but she explains that she got involved in this because of a certain someone but had to stay and be a slave so that she could take care of the kids the slaves had with them. The rest of the Huz also come and analyze the situation. Thea enlightens them about the rules of the church. They secretly look for a missing person, especially if it is a saint, but after a while, they consider the missing person gone in the line of duty. Thea has been missing for over a year, so she is already considered dead according to the church. Altena says that she should still go back because the church will surely be happy to see her again. To this, she explains that once someone comes back after being presumed dead, the church considers them to be the opposite of a saint. In short, this bee is homeless and broke and needs some place to crash. Altena mentions how working with all the men in her group can be tough sometimes, so she would appreciate a saint to be present among them. Everyone agrees to this, and they go back to the guild so that they can collect their money. When they reach there, Alina is preparing all the files, but things are even more sus now that Zio has more women with him. While Alina works on their files, Zio requests to meet the guild master, meaning Blazer the Clapper. Zio sits down with him and the rest of them a little hesitant. But Zio tells them all to relax and sit down because Blazer is super chill despite being on a very high rank. Zio asks him for a favor, which is that after they get paid for this big quest, he wants all of Altana's men to be clean. All of her men were criminals who have redeemed themselves, so Zio wants their criminal record to be wiped clean. Blazer just laughs at this and tells Zio that this isn't a rehabilitation center. Zio still tries to convince him, but Blazer makes a strong point that if some of them turn back into criminals, Zio and Blazer would be the ones responsible and would get into trouble. After this, Zio introduces Thea to Blazer. They want him to accept her request and let her in on this quest as well. Blazer takes her identity card to see if she is a real saint, and when he confirms that, he reveals that the church secretly funds some of the guild as well and that he personally respects their work, so he will allow C. Just when that is settled, Patty stands up and asks for another favor. She wants help in bringing back all of her people that she rescued to a place where they can live for now. They all agree to help her out till the job is done since all of them got paid. But it is too late, so they all decide to do this tomorrow. Later on at night, Patty is a bit confused, and she knocks on a door. She is here to meet Fam in order to have a private girl talk about something that has been bothering her. Patty is basically confused by Zio's riz and what she should do as a response. What she means is that she doesn't understand what she needs to do to repay him because words alone cannot describe her gratitude. Fam is up to no good because she instantly wants to suggest having a ditty party to please Zio. She gives Patty a book that describes how men and women should communicate, and she tells her to read the whole thing to understand how to deal with this. Lastly, she tells Patty to do something that opens her eyes in shock. Zio is in her room as he sees Nasha sleeping on her bed. For a moment, Bro almost considers pulling an Evangelion Hospital moment while she sleeps, but he changes his mind, thinking he is a kind and gentle man. Just then, he hears a knock on the door and sees that it is just Patty. He lets her in and asks her why she is here so late. She mentions that words cannot describe how grateful she is, so she wants to do something for him. Zio is just a chill guy who keeps it casual and says it's okay because he literally got paid to do this quest. But she tells him to pull a ribbon that she attached to her clothes. When he does this, her clothes fall down, and she stands in front of him only in her undergarments. Zio puts his hand in front of her eyes, and Nasha also comes running to do the same. All of them are confused as to what is happening when Fam walks in. Zio instantly understands that Fam is the one who is behind all of this and made Patty do this, and she gets so embarrassed that she faints right there. The next day, Thea, Zio, Altana, and some of her men are traveling to the place where the rescued elves are living for now. While walking there, they crack a few jokes, and Thea emphasizes how she looks forward to her new lifestyle because they were very serious in the church, and she never got to joke around. After this, they reach the place that has all the rescued elves. Nasha and Patty are already there, and they have already prepared dinner. The second Zio sees Patty, Blood starts having flashback shots of her from last night. She apologizes for what happened, and they move on. They walk inside, and everyone seems to be doing very well until three grumpy old dudes pull up to ruin the mood. The three old men are the ones who arranged this building and have been working on this operation of freeing the elf slaves for a very long time. They do not like that normal people are also in the building, as they fear that something bad can happen. They explain that they understand how elves face racism in this world for being different, but they are not here with similar intention. Basically what they are trying to say is that they are YouTube Shorts watchers and are not from Instagram. The old men call it cap and still don't trust any of them, but Patty steps in and takes their side. She tells them how they were one of the main reasons why all of these elves are not slaves anymore. They also see how nice they are and decide to trust them because of Patty. Once that is resolved, Thea thanks Zio for doing all of this and says that she loves him from the bottom of her heart. Listening to this, Nasha gets offended, but Thea explains that she loves her as well because she is the saint of kindness. After that, everyone is called to dinner, but the scene changes to a kingdom called Garuda. There, we see a maid calling for a woman named Verulea, who turns out to be a demon king. While she is standing outside, a man named Muto comes to her and says that he has some important news to deliver that she needs to hear right now. She tells him to go away because she does not want to listen to boring news. Muto wants her to just hear him out for a second, and when she does, he tells her that a person with the title Demon Lord has appeared in the human world. She is shocked to listen to this because that title hasn't appeared in the past 400 years. While she is in disbelief, he also tells her that the titles Hero and Great Sage have also appeared in the same kingdom. She deems this impossible because only her brother, 400 years ago, had this title, and it is impossible for anyone else to possess it. She starts tripping balls when she realizes that their intelligence team has confirmed this and that the hero and great sage titles have also appeared. She tells Muto to prepare all the monsters they have and send them to rain chaos in the place where these titles appeared. Muto explains that this will start the same between humans and demons that took place 400 years ago. Just then, a guard comes running and alerts her that another demon king named Omar has arrived. He is from a different kingdom and is trespassing here. He might have more riz than Zio because he straight up asks to marry her on the spot. The negative aura is so immense that another demon king named Rui has to pull up to stop him. The busty demon and the Riz god start fighting with each other, and they ruin Verulea's flower garden. She gets super mad at them, and her immense aura is enough to scare both of them away. Seeing Verulea be angry like this, Muto proves to be a simp because he wants to make her happy by taking out the Demon Lord title holder before he becomes too big of an issue. Back to Zio and the others, Nurse calls them in her office that's a full-on mess. She tells Zio that she has entered his name in a tournament where he has to fight and win money. He refuses the offer because he thinks that all of this is a bit too sudden. Just then, Nasha sits down and sees that all these papers are of Nurse losing bets. This means that she's a gambling addict, which makes her way hotter now. Now, Zio wonders how a teacher can be so reckless and lose all her money on gambling. All she says is that she heard Zio is a very skilled fighter. If he participates in this tournament, everyone would underestimate him, which would lead to no one betting on him. This way, Nurse can bet on him and win all the money. She also mentions that if he wins the tournament, he will receive money as well. She also adds that on top of all the money he can make, he will also receive a prize, which is an ancient artifact known as the Staff of the Spirits. Zio is still not fully sure whether he wants to do this or not because he ignores how based his teacher is and doesn't think it's appropriate for a teacher to put her students on gambling. Nillis also gives up on convincing him, but just then, for the first time in her life, Nasha stops acting like a horny bop and actually has something useful to say. She mentions that she knows about the staff and that no one really knows where it is from and that it comes from a long line of ownership disputes. Zio gets a little offended and asks her why she would involve him in something that can cause him trouble in the future. Instead of answering that, she claims that she has something else she wants to show him. She tells him that there is another quest, but it is from the government and that only highly trusted adventurers can accept this quest. She further explains that there is a deserted area where demons used to live, but all of them have suddenly vanished. They need to investigate what actually happened there, and because the stakes are high, a few other very high-ranking adventurers are confirmed to join them. Zio is a little skeptical of this, but dough is dough, and he is chasing the bag no matter what, so he takes the quest. He goes to the guild, where he tells Alina that he got a letter of recommendation from Nurse so he can take this special quest. Alina shares the details and says that this mission is very special, which is why 10 other extremely high-ranking adventurers have applied. She also adds that they can face dangerous monsters and demons that are strong enough to clap top-ranked adventurers. After hearing all of this, Nasha gets worried and tells Zio not to take this quest because she has a bad feeling about it. But Zio is a slut for money, so he manages to convince Nasha that it will be alright. Later on, they go to a place where they are met with a man who helps them sit in carriages for departure. The other high-ranking adventurers also arrive there, and one of them is an old man who is there with his granddaughter and a lot of luggage. After putting his luggage in the carriage, they are about to depart and head to the place where all the demons have vanished. But they notice that Zio has a lower rank card. They are shocked to see a low-rank adventurer on such a big quest, but he explains how he is here with his sugar mommy, who has a high rank. Just then, they reach their destination, and they see that the place is as empty as your life. Zio and Nasha are told to look for clues relating to the demons that once filled this area. While looking around, they notice that everyone is having a conversation, so Nasha goes and joins them. Zio knows that everyone would think he has a skill issue because he is a low-ranking kid, so he stays back looking for clues all by himself. While doing that, the shadiest person approaches him and starts talking to him. He wonders why they would let such a person join this quest when the tiny man pulls out a rock. He tells Zio that he can smell the demon's golden fuel on the rock, meaning their forbidden lemonade. But, instead of treating this hydration betrayal rock as a clue, the sussy man tries to sell it to Zio for a lot of money. He explains that the smell of urine will wear off in 10 days and that the guild would pay Zio a lot for it and, not to mention, increase his rank. Before Zio can even say no to buying this rock with demon drizzle on it, he senses a lot of magic that is coming right their way. When he looks up, he sees that the demons they were looking for are heading their way, and it is a whole army of them. The rest of the adventurers notice this as well and get scared. Their first thought is chickening out, as there are way too many demons for them to handle. But if they run away, they will risk bringing all of those demons back to their town, where they can hurt innocent people. But it is nearly impossible for them to fight these many demons all by themselves. Just when everyone is folding like laundry, the old man starts talking and says that everyone who signed up for this quest knew it would be dangerous. So all they can do now is fight because running away is not an option. What Gramps is basically trying to whip up is that no matter the skill issue, they need to lock in and do this no matter what. Zio and Nasha also sense this, and Zio thinks he can take them all out with his magic, but he would risk showing everyone around here what he can actually do. But if he doesn't do that, their whole town will get slaughtered. He has a choice to make and cannot think of what he should do. But then suddenly, he goes to Nasha and says that he is going to make her a hero. She doesn't understand what he is about to do, but he does it anyways. While Nasha is tweaking out, he tells her to calm down because she just needs to put on a show so that he can do the main job. What this means is that since she is on a higher rank, she can pretend to throw an attack. And while she does that, Zio will wipe the demons out with his magic and make it look like Nasha did it. That way the problem gets solved, and no one finds out about Zio's powers. They run to meet with the others, and Zio explains to them how Nasha can take them all out. She is scared at first, but Zio forces her to throw a blast where he throws one alongside her. With this attack, all the flying demons that were headed this way get cooked. All of them are shocked to see that Nasha is this strong and are happy that all the demons are gone. On the other hand, we see Muto the simp again, who gets told that all of the demons he sent are wiped out by someone. He is shocked to hear this news but knows that only the work of the one who holds the Demon Emperor title can do such a thing. He is deciding to send all of his troops to handle the situation this time. Later on, they head back to the guild to get their reward, and they are met with Alina. Alina is shocked to see that they came back so early from a quest that was supposed to take a long time. Zio is fooling around and explaining how the quest was easy when she tells him that the guild master, meaning her clapper, Blazer, wants to have a meeting with Zio and Nasha. He is bamboozled to hear this since he wasn't prepared to have a serious meeting right now. He tries to leave, but Alina pulls him back so that he can talk to Blazer. In his office, Blazer talks about other stuff like how Zio needs to be a strong part of the guild and protect it since he is always accompanied by a high-ranking furry. After accepting that, Zio is told that among the demons they wiped out, there was a demon dragon among them that somehow escaped. This big black dragon is still lurking around, and Blazer wants Zio to go and handle the situation. Before accepting this quest, Zio mentions that he only has one request. He wants to go and fight this big, black, girthy dragon all by himself and Nasha. Nasha wonders why he did such a thing and explains that if he is alone fighting the dragon, then he can go all out and defeat the big black dragon easily. But to reach the dragon, they have to go to a specific area that is far away from where they are standing. Zio realizes that he can use teleportation magic, and the only limit he has is that he can only teleport to places he has already seen. He grabs Nasha's hand and teleports to the place where they are supposed to fight the black dragon because he has seen the place before. Just as they arrive there, the black dragon attacks them, but Zio holds his own and throws a fire attack as well. Nasha witnesses that the dragon took no damage from Zio's attack and thinks that they will actually get cooked this time by this dragon. But the black dragon lands on the ground, and an armored man hops off of the dragon. He asks Zio if he is the human who has the Demon Emperor title. Zio refuses to answer the question and explain how he has been burdened with the task of taking the big black dragon. The man laughs at him and thinks that a child cannot possibly defeat a high-ranking demon dragon. But he also says that this makes Zio hostile, so he has to end his life right here and now. Zio also notices that more dragons have started to appear, meaning that there is more than just one black dragon. Seeing this, he realizes that magic won't work on them, so he needs to use physical attacks. He asks Nasha for her sword, but she is in shock from the teleportation and can barely move, so Zio has to get it himself. But since nothing spicy has happened in a while, he accidentally grabs her Jayat instead of the sword. Once that is out of the way, Zio has his sword and is ready to fight. There are a total of 3 dragons with 3 armored men on top. The first attacks him, and he quickly moves out of the way while also carrying Nasha away from danger. The dragon attacks again, but he uses body enhancement magic and hits the dragon on the neck with his sword, and that part is considered the dragon's blind spot. The man is also shocked to see him pull this off as Zio kicks him in the face. Before finishing the man off, he states that he indeed is the person with the Demon Emperor title. The man is so frightened that he starts praising Zio's strength, but the dragon is so disgusted by this that he bashes the man with his foot as blood splatters. Just then, Zio manages to slay another dragon as everyone is getting mad at Zio. One of the men comes running while using self-destruction magic. He hugs Zio, and together, both of them explode into tiny pieces. The third man is thinking how it was worth it for the man to pull the plug and take Lil Bro out for good. But Zio is still alive. He explains that he used teleportation magic, and like every Dragon Ball Z character ever, the man sacrificed himself for nothing. Now the third man gets off of his dragon and challenges Zio to one last duel. He gets off of the dragon and starts fighting him with his sword. He wonders how even a man with the Demon Emperor can be this strong. Zio is unable to keep his mouth shut, so he flaunts the fact that he also has the hero and great sage titles as well. Man calls this cap and keeps fighting until Zio pulls a dick move. Instead of using his sword, he takes a pointy chunk of the ground with his magic and hits him in the stomach. He explains that he never considered this a sword fight to begin with, so he did whatever it took to win. While the man is almost about to meet his maker, he starts saying weird stuff and even makes a final war cry before completely passing out. Once that is over, Zio casually walks away thinking that everything is over, but Blood forgot that a whole odd dragon is still alive, ready to tear them to shreds. Zio thinks that he will have to use physical attacks since magic doesn't work on demons, so he starts thinking about how he can take it out. But before he can do anything, he notices that the dragon isn't attacking them at all. Nasha is also there, and both of them notice that this dragon's behavior is completely different from the rest. Because of this, they do not want to harm him unless he pulls off something sus. They go closer to it, and Nasha realizes that it has a sign on its head that is usually used for slaves, meaning that someone has enslaved the demon dragon. Nasha tells Zio to remove that sign so it can be free, so Zio uses his magic and erases the sign. But after doing so, the dragon is still there and is refusing to leave like a clingy Hello Kitty girl. They do not know what to do with it until Zio claims that she can just keep it. Upon being asked, Zio explains that if she has a dragon by her side to keep her safe, then Zio doesn't have to protect her at all times. She thinks that he is going to abandon her, but once he clears that out, she names the dragon Coke and says that she can keep it and summon it whenever she wants. After a while, they come flying to their town, and everyone is frightened to see Coke. All of the adventurers that were on this quest gather around to take on this demon dragon, but they see that Zio has managed to tame it. While everyone is glazing Zio for his amazing powers, Blazer also arrives there and demands an explanation. After finding out that this is a big JoJo reference because Nasha can keep a dragon as a stand, Blazer still refuses. He explains how even though it is not evil, it is still very huge and can alarm people of this town. Zio suggests that if they keep it in the woods all the time and summon it only when needed, it would work out for everyone. Blazer also agrees to this but says that it will take time and money to pull this off. Zio offers all the money he made from this quest, but Blazer asks for even more, so Bro ends up being in debt at such a young age. After this, they take Coke to the woods, where Nasha tells him to stay patient and wait until he is summoned. While leaving, they tell Coke not to attack people or eat them, not even as a joke. After leaving Coke there, they head back to the guild, where they see that a lot of people have gathered and most of them look like the Altena's bandits. They ask Alina what is going on, and she tells Zio and Nasha that there is another meeting going on and that Blazer is waiting for them. They enter the room and see that Thea and Altena are already sitting in there. When asked about what all of this is actually about, Blazer mentions that he officially wants to make Altena and her bandits subordinates of the guild. He further explains that he has seen how helpful all of Altena's people have been, so he has decided to take action. He elaborates on how the guild has so many quests to a point where the small ones get turned into annoying chores, so they will be a perfect organization working for the guild. He also tells Zio that since Zio is the one who instigated this whole thing, he will give Zio 20% more on each quest. But Zio still points out a flaw. He explains how Altena's horny men are known to do batshit crazy things, meaning that their names on the street are cooked. So if news goes out that a group like that has joined the guild, then it would ruin its reputation. Blazer says that they can just simply change their name and rebrand them, to which Altena happily agrees. After that, he also indirectly mentions that it would be best if Thea stayed here at the guild with them, meaning that he started all of this just because he was simping on Thea. Everyone agrees to this, and they finally ask Nasha if she agrees just to include her in the story as well, and she obviously agrees as well. With everyone agreeing, they dismiss the meeting in peace and harmony as they all leave. While all of them are leaving, Blazer asks Thea to stop for a moment so they can talk, but she politely refuses the offer, making it clear that even a Riz god like Blazer, who can bag chicks like Alina, can fumble the bag against the holy cooch. While walking outside, Altena claims that it was wrong for her to ask for Zio's help. Zio kindly explains that it is nothing bad from her end because they are friends and they can do stuff like this for each other. But Altena has the 50 Shades of Grey mindset, so she insists that he should punish her for what she has done. She sticks out her giant, and Zio is tired of her asking about this all the time, so he actually spanks her this time as she falls on the ground. After this, they all head to the new place for Altena's men provided by the guild. All the men are working out there, and Fam notices that all of them are weak. She has a very particular reason as to why she thinks all of them are weak, so she challenges one of them to a fight. He is fighting well until a gust of wind makes Fam's skirt go up. While he gets distracted, he loses the fight. She explains how all of these men haven't been with a woman, meaning that all of them are virgins just like you. She suggests that all of them go to the claptrap or the slop shop and get their pickles tickled so that they can let it all out and focus on training and fighting more. All of them mention how they are either scared to go or want to do it with someone special, and they even ask Zio to tag along if they are going to Cheeksburg, so all the girls leave them to talk it out. After some time, all of them are eating food when Thea is being grateful for Zio joining them. He thanks her instead for preparing all the food when a man comes and explains how one of Altena's men have proposed to Fam. They immediately run out to check on him because they know she would be mad pissed off. As expected, all of the men are knocked out, and after a few more weird interactions, the scene cuts to Velrhea, the demon lord we saw earlier. She is here in the human world with Nudo, and she is eating their food while complaining about how filthy and fragile humans are. She is out here looking for the demon emperor and thinks that it is a nice way to kill time. The next day, all of them are in their class when Zio sees that Patty is filling out a form that is for the same tournament their teacher Nuris was forcing Zio to join. He asks Patty why she is joining that tournament, and at first she doesn't want to admit it, but then explains her real reason for why she wants to join. She says that her main objective is not money but the staff of spirits that the winner will get after finishing the tournament. The staff actually belonged to the Elder Elves, and it has been tossed around to other people over the years. She thinks that it is her responsibility to attain that stuff and give it back to her people in order to restore peace. This bit always has a new story to tell where she has to do something for her people. Anyways, she also emphasizes that she is so determined to this cause that she would sacrifice her life to get this done. Listening to this, Zio also thinks that he should join the tournament because rumors are that an expert swordsman and other powerful beings will be joining. He can't make up his mind about this, so he throws it for later and goes out to hang out with Rise and Fam. They buy him a gift from his money that he was giving them. They buy him a mask that can morph around his entire body and even change his voice so that he can be in full disguise whenever he wants to. He hates it at first but still accepts the gift, thinking it may be useful somehow. Later on, he is at the guild with Nasha because they have to receive their devices from which they can summon Coke. They paid a large sum of money for the device, so they are excited to see how it turns out. There is a ring for Nasha and a collar for Coke. Blazer explains how Nasha can wear the ring and can summon the dragon through a portal by using magic whenever she wants. After handing them the device, he makes another request to Zio. He tells him that he needs to join the tournament to make a name for the guild or some shit like that. Zio wants to refuse, but he remembers that Patty also needs that staff, so he has to do this. He tells Blazer that he will indeed be joining the tournament and maybe using a disguise so that no one finds out how strong he actually is. He then leaves the guild and finds that all of Altena's horny men are angry at him. They found out that he was joining the tournament and are angry at him because Altena explains that she is joining the tournament as well. Her main reason is that she has been training with Zio, so she wants to see how strong she has become. Just then, Nasha comes there and asks if she can summon Coke now. When Zio tells her to do so, she uses her ring and calls the dragon from a portal. And while everyone is amazed to see this, she is on the ground because she got drained from using too much magic. Zio comes there and says that she is just drained and just needs a potion and some rest to restore back to normal health. He says that he will look after her, so he will take her back to the dorm, and they can meet again tomorrow so that they can enter the tournament since all of them are entering. At night, Nasha is sleeping while Zio is tweaking out because of the Huzz overload. He cannot make up his mind on what he should do because he wants to help Patty by winning the tournament for her. But he doesn't want Antona to lose the tournament because she is really looking forward to it. But most importantly, he cannot reveal his real identity. From the start, he always wanted a peaceful life where no one knew how strong he was, so how can he not risk revealing that and giving up on his peaceful life? He is considering using that disguise mask he was given but thinks it is too stupid to wear. After this, he is met with Thea and Antonin. Together, they plan to go to a store where they can buy weapons because Zio also wants something physical because he cannot solely rely on his magic powers. They enter the shop, where they are met with a jolly old man who is selling weapons. While walking around, Zio uses a few knives and blades but does not like anything. On the other hand, Zio, without trying, seems to be rizzing up Thea because she keeps saying super sus things that he manages to ignore and keep looking for more weapons. At the end, he is again looking for weapons when he apologizes to the old fat man for all his work put in showing him weapons because he has still not found a single one that he likes. Just then, he sees a small knife hanging on the wall. He asks the man about that knife, and he explains how no one has ever bought that, so he hung it on the wall. He further explains that no one likes a fat Gorlock whale, so no one ever bought this knife. But Zio sees the potential and claims that he will invest in the whale, and will manage to get some results. What this means is that he was trying to find something with endurance, so he chose this knife. Even when Altena warns him that this knife will be harder to move because of how heavy it is, Zio is keen on buying this knife. While walking out, Zio mentions how Antonin shouldn't have paid for the knife he bought. But Thea again starts acting sus by saying weird stuff like if he ever gets tired, he can rest his head on her lap and use her lap as pillows. Altena is weirdly jealous because of this while the scene changes to Valrea the demon. Muto is with her, and he asks her if it is a good decision for her to join the tournament as well. She explains that the grand prize is something she wants, meaning that she is also interested in the Staff of Spirits. She also adds that she is pretty sure that the person with the Demon Emperor title will also be there since everyone would be after the prize. Just then, they sense the presence of a human with a lot of magic, but he is not the Demon Emperor. It is another kid known as the Sword Saint. The next day, the tournament is finally starting, and everyone is on the battleground. Zio is walking out in his goofy odd disguise, which he never wanted to wear, but he did not have any other choice. When he comes out, he sees that there are many mysterious people gathered here who seem extremely strong. But amongst all the people, the only presence that stands out to Zio is Valrea. He wonders who she is because he has never sensed this kind of magic in a human before. Just as when he is standing around thinking about all of this, they are hit with different colors of lights. He is under red light while some people are under different colored lights. Zio is confused at first, but it is announced that everyone is divided into groups by these lights, and all of these 4 groups will fight one by one in a battle royal. The 2 winners from each group will then face each other one-on-one and move up in the tournament. The first group that will fight is the red light, and Zio is under that light. He notices that both Patty and Altena are under the different lights, so he doesn't have to fight any of his friends. Suddenly, Valrea approaches him out of nowhere and shows interest in him because she is curious about his physical appearance and the strong magic she senses off of him. While they are talking, the Sword Saint is also standing right by them, and he is waiting for his chance to fight because everyone is sensing that he is very strong as well. Just as the match starts, all the men in their group get jealous because they were watching Zio talking to Valrea a lot. They think that he's trying to link up with her in that way, but he tries to explain himself. Just to pump the men even more and make them angry, Valrea stands behind Zio and tells him to save her from all the other men. He has no other choice but to do so and asks all the men to come at him at once. Just then, knives come flying right towards Zio, who manages to catch them all with both of his hands. It was thrown by a mysterious man in a hood, and all of them are shocked to see that Zio stopped such an attack. But not just that, he uses those knives and throws them right back at all of the men, and knocks all of them out cold. Suddenly, another knife is thrown at him, but he catches that as well. It was thrown by Valrea with murderous intent. He explains how the match is over and hurting him would disqualify Valrea. She still keeps wanting to fight Zio, but at the end manages to keep it in her pants and not do anything so that she can win the tournament. Zio mentions how he is sure he will the tournament even if they end up fighting, and she is so certain about her strength that she makes it clear by announcing that if Zio wins the tournament he can do anything to Valrea's body as a reward. Zio is more than confused to hear about this. He asks her again what she means by this, and she gets the wrong idea. She thinks that he is disappointed about the fact that he can only have one. She thinks this because she offered him to do anything to her body only once. When she realizes this, she says that she can be his wife forever if he manages to win the tournament, and would let her do whatever he wants to her body for the rest of his life. Lil Bro folds like an omelet and thinks that this offer is very tempting, but immediately takes back his words and calls the offer outrageous. He does not speak, and she just considers that she just left him speechless. Yes, queen, he didn't leave you on scene, you left him speechless. Anyways, she walks out of there while the announcer announces that the winner of the first round is Ziz and Velraya. This shows that Zio even went to the tournament with a fake name, which is Ziz. Just to make things awkward, the announcer says that she received information that if Ziz wins the tournament, then Velraya will marry him and let him do whatever he wants to her body. All of the other hus that he has bagged get shocked listening to this because obviously every girl in the story wants a piece of the main character. He is angry about why this situation is being said out loud. On the other hand, Blazer is also there with some of his men from the guild. They ask if Ziz is actually Zio, and upon knowing that, they ask Blazer if Zio is fooling them and using a body double. Blazer explains that he just wanted to hide his personality so no one knows how strong he is, and that he has built enough trust with Zio at this point that he wouldn't doubt him regarding things like these. Thea is there, and she asks Zio why his aura is feeling so off, and he changes the topic because he does not want to talk about what's actually bothering him. Just then, the second round starts, and we see that both Altena and Patty are in the same group, meaning that they might have to fight each other. Patty is happy to see her there, though, so she starts to talk with her. Altena notices that they are the only women in this group and that all the men will gang up against them to take them all out. Because of this, they decide that they are going to team up. Because of this, they are going to be the last two standing and win the whole match. While they are talking about this, the Sword Saint is also observing this and realizes that the men will gather up and eliminate those two women. He wishes that he were there so that he could save those two. As expected, all the perverted men gang up on them and decide to attack them. Both Patty and Altena are skilled fighters, so they manage to hold their own against these men. But after a while, they start to go hard on Altena. Patty comes and uses a large burst of magic to knock most of the men out and rescue Altena. She thanks her as both Sister Sisser and Captain Lesbo stand by each other, and Nasha points out how good both of them look while teaming up. Zio also agrees that both of them are a strong team, and the men they are fighting also acknowledge how strong these two are. Then, the fight continues and everyone including Fam and Rise are cheering up for Altena and Patty. But the men start quarreling over each other because, according to them, they were looking at their Jaya and then decided who they were going to pick to fight. When someone of them had the eye for the same woman, they started fighting. Grown-on men, by the way. Just as both of them are feeling disgusted by this perverted behavior, they start to actually attack again. All of them saw how Patty is clearly the stronger one. She can use more magic, so all of them are targeting her more. She also notices that their movement has also been changed, meaning that they locked in and now will do anything to win. While they are fighting, it does not seem good at all, and everyone thinks that at this rate both of them will lose the fight. Ziorzes suddenly stands up and starts to shout at the men. He lectures them about not having pride because a real man can do something like this. He angrily states that no man would gang up on a woman like that and that it doesn't matter at this point because losers like them will get beaten by him anyways. Everyone stops and starts to listen to Ziz, and they understand that he is making valid points because what everyone is seeing is clearly wrong. This starts a chain reaction where everyone in the crowd starts yelling and tells the men on the battleground that they are cowards who have no pride or any sense of right or wrong. Basically, they are being called horny NPCs. But the topic changes when the announcer suddenly decides to open her mouth again. She states that the latest news just came in, which is that Ziz is not satisfied with Velraya's request of playing with her body for eternity because he is surrounded by other beauties, which is why he is running his mouth way too much. Other men who are also into Velraya start speaking now, and they get jealous of Ziz. While this is clearly just a skill issue, everyone is now mad at Ziz, and they keep telling him to keep his mouth shut and not get too cocky just because he is a little bit popular. Just then, the Huz's final boss Velraya herself walks out and says that Ziz is absolutely right. She also calls these men spineless cowards who don't know how to fight, which is why they are ganging up on women. She finally adds at the end that no man here is brave enough to fight everyone on his own. All the beta simps that are in that battleground praise Velraya, so they say that they will fight everyone equally and prove to her that they are real men. All the others start saying the same things, so things quickly turn around and no one is fighting just the women anymore, and the fight is very fair now. Everyone points out that the fight is now going well, even though Ziz is getting all the hate from the audience. But nothing matters at this point because all those two women have to do is win, since now they have chance. The ring is pretty much clear, and both of them are pretty beat. They ask each other if they are okay and take a moment to breathe when one last man appears. He is the last survivor, and he claims that he will win no matter what. When he attacks the two of them at once, Patty uses the last of her magic and hits the man with a very strong attack. He immediately gets stunned, and Patty keeps going until the man is almost dead. And Lita tells her to stop because the man is pretty much cooked at this point. She lets him go, and both of them win the fight as planned. They celebrate as well as Nasha and the rest, but they point out that both of them are pretty beat up, so they won't last long in the next matches. The Sword Saint is also there, and he adds that gender doesn't matter in a fight and that whoever is the strongest will win. Patty and Unlita return and meet with her friends, and Patty sees Ziz and asks who he is. Zio gets nervous and doesn't tell her his real personality. She notices that Ziz has the same gloves as Zio, so she asks him if they are related somehow. He tells her that he is Zio's master and he is the one who has been teaching him all the techniques and that he is way stronger than Zio. When Patty listens to this and realizes that Zio let someone so strong enter the tournament knowing that she will be joining as well, she gets a little sad. She tells them that she just has to go somewhere and walks away, not telling anyone how she feels. But she just feels betrayed by Zio. After a while, the next round is about to start, and all of the people are looking at the list of who will be joining. They see that the Great Sword Saint will also be fighting this time, and everyone is hyping him almost as much as Zio, so he is being a little jealous. But just then, Ziz notices the man he has been waiting for. He sees an old, demotivated man, Castor, who seems very powerful. He explains that he saw him when he was entering the tournament and thought that he was the strongest person here after Velrea. He is standing on the battlefield all by himself, and Fam also notices the same thing. She says that the old depressed man seems very strong, but Zio tells her not to judge people by their looks, even though he almost did the same thing. Just as Castor is standing, the Sword Saint named Chris or something walks in and is shocked to see Castor, and both of them start to drop their own lore drama. He is shocked to see Castor here because, according to him, Castor abandoned him a long time ago. He demands an explanation as to why he did such a thing and left Chris or whatever his name is. Castor is wise, so his explanation is much better than expected. He explains that he was next in line to be the Sword Saint, but before he could receive that title, he noticed Chris or Mark, whoever he is. He saw that he was young and had more potential to grow than the old man Castor, who has already reached his peak strength. So he left him and left of whoever we are talking about here only because of Chris. He wanted him to have the title, so he made the ultimate sacrifice, and it actually meant something, unlike every Dragon Ball Z character who sacrificed themselves. But moving on, Castor says that he is not interested in swordsmanship anyways because he is now using two swords and wants to see who will win this match right now. After some time, Castor tells him that he is young, so he will get to bag all the Huz anyways, so he will just sit back and watch him do his thing. Other men also start entering the arena while the audience is getting pumped, and for the Sword Saint, this is considered a very nice warm-up. Just then, the men jump him out of nowhere, but he fights back and manages to hold his own. In no time, he manages to take almost everyone out only with his skills, and everyone, including Castor, is impressed by this and expected nothing from the Sword Saint. The rest of the men get a little scared and stand back because they have no clue how they should attack him. Castor tells him to attack the men, but the Sword Saint claims that he does not prefer chasing people around, which is super based of him. With this going on, Castor decides to show up and finally show what he can do. Zio is told that the man he was anticipating to see is finally about to fight and show everyone what he's got. He starts talking to the men and gets them pumped up so that they start attacking him. Listening to all the insults, all the men call him arrogant and launch an attack on him. Just as all the men attack him, Castor knocks all of them out with only one single blow. They announce that the winner of this match is Luke the Sword Saint and the man with no motivation named Castor. Let's pretend that I was also calling him Luke all this time. Looking at this, Zio says that they are using a specific sword technique that only sword masters or above ranked people can use. But he also adds that anyone who notices the move and practices enough can learn it. He is saying all of this to Altena, who is very curious about this and wants to pull off the same high-ranking technique as well. He also thinks that if someone so strong can be here in this tournament, then he can find someone who has a hero title as well. He thinks that if he can find someone like that, he can make that person public, and then he will be 2 steps closer to a peaceful life. Just then, the baddies he has on standby tell him that there has been some major turn of events. The major news is that no one was even ready to see the 4th match start when it was already over. The winner of this match is a man named Hao, who is another steroids final boss because he is a man too muscular and big to be called a human. The other winner is a man named Rentada, who seems very sus based on his looks. Zio is shocked to see that the match is already over before they even knew it had started. So since the 4th match is over, they can move on to the final rounds, which will be in between all the people who have won the 4 fights. The first fight in this tournament is Patty vs Ziz, which is a horrible turn of events that Zio does not know how to deal with. Anyways, before he leaves to enter the ring, he starts thinking about what he should do now. If he loses on purpose, Patty may not win the tournament because of how there are other stronger people only he can beat. He does not want to hurt Patty as well, so he cannot just knock her out as well, so he does not understand what he should do. Meanwhile, Rise says that she and Fam will be cheering and rooting for Patty because they want her to win. Nasha says that she is rooting for the both of them, but only Thea can see how his magic is fluctuating, meaning that he is being very confused and indecisive right now. Ziz then walks out, still not knowing what he should do because he wants the Staff of Spirits so that he can give it to Patty. Just then, he starts talking to her and thinks that all he needs to do is riz her up and get her to quit, which would be the best case scenario. They start talking, and she seems very tense because she still feels like she has been betrayed by Zio at this point. He starts talking and explains how Zio sent him in this tournament instead of him because he was busy with something else. She gets more pissed off thinking that Zio sent someone stronger than himself, but he is now on to her. He understands what she is feeling and how he can deal with it. Bro indeed is the Riz god because he starts to play nice with her. He explains that Zio sent him in his place so that he can win and give Patty the staff. She is happy to listen to this, but Ziz mentions that she will have to quit. He does not want to hurt her and promises that he will give her the staff no matter what because it is his duty because he was asked to do this by Zio. Patty, however, does not agree to this. She says that she cannot trust anyone with this because she has dedicated her entire life to this. She explains that getting this staff and giving it back to her people is so important to her that she is willing to sacrifice her own life if she has to pull this off, and she won't quit without a fight. Zio still tries to persuade her in all the ways he can by still calling himself Zio's master and all that crap. But Patty is just too dedicated to this, so she straight up locks in and starts attacking him. He manages to dodge her first attack, but she suddenly attacks him with another attack that is more magical and much stronger. Even she is shocked because she was not expecting him to dodge all of her attacks like that. He again asks her if she wants to quit because everyone can clearly see the power gap between them. She understands this but claims that victory isn't always based on skill, and that one can use other tricks to get the win and get that staff. She pulls out a special dagger as she says this. She attacks him with this dagger, but he uses his knife, which he bought earlier from the shop, and knocks her knife out. With this out of the way, he makes it clear that she is all out of weapons, so she should just quit. But Patty is a baddie that does not know how to quit, so she again starts to attack him. He does not know what she is about to do when he suddenly realizes that she is about to hit him with an attack that can end them both. He even explains to her that this magic is so intense that it can kill the both of them, but she just smiles and wants to see who can endure more. Before she can properly execute this attack, Zio gives a back shot that makes her go unconscious. He then carries her unconscious body out of there as he wins the match for now. He immediately takes her to a doctor who can check up on her and make sure that she is alright and doing well. When he gets her checked, they tell her that she is fine, but she is knocked out cold for a long time. What this means is that Zio so skillfully knocked her out that she is not ever hurt a little bit, and is only unconscious. Bro actually is him. Damn, even I'm glazing him now, they made him that strong. Anyways, he comes out of there and sees Thea sitting there. She is the only one who truly sees what he is actually going through because she can sense his mana and his magic that seems very down. Half of his mask also got cut, so he is also stressing about the fact that his identity might be revealed. Because of this, he actually takes Thea's offer and puts his head on her lap. He finds this very comforting and shows his mommy issues while the rest of the Huz get super jealous from Thea. Even the men feel a little bit jealous and offer Zio that he can rest his head on their laps as well. But he is no homo, so he instantly refuses that offer. Moving on, the next match is between Hao the Giant and the literally me caster. Everyone is anticipated for this fight as well, but he manages to win this fight in an instant by knocking the giant man out, showing that size does not matter. Looking at this, everyone realizes that the next match is between the Sword Saint and Altana, and she is nowhere to be seen. meaning that she would be nervous. Everyone thinks that they should go check up on her, but Zio tells everyone to stay put because he will go check up on her personally. While going there, he sees a few men standing there talking about the tournament. He listens carefully and realizes that those men are placing bets on the matches. What's surprising is that most of the men are betting on the woman, meaning Altena, rather than the Sword Saint, who is known to be one of the greatest fighters ever. Zio thinks about his hot teacher Nuris for a second because she was a gambler as well. After this, he goes inside a room where Altena is doing something extremely sus that we are going to ignore because we don't want to presume anything here. Zio tells her that he is here just to check up on her because she seems very nervous. Yeah, we all saw how nervous she was. Anyways, she explains that she is going against the Sword Saint, so she is a little bit nervous about it and thinks that she can lose. But she also says that she was here only to test her strength, and that this is exactly what is going to happen when she goes against a strong opponent. After a while, she is in the ring with the Sword Saint whose name we all definitely remember. Their match is the third one, and they are about to start. They start fighting and she starts thinking in her mind about all the attacks while he is noticing how silent she is. He also sees the way she is swinging the sword and thinks that it is similar to the way they all fight. He thinks that she might also be a high-ranking swordsman, but she only picked up on their moves when Zio told him to notice their moves and learn. The Sword Saint stops mid-fight and asks her where she learned to fight like this, but she does not give a direct answer and keeps fighting. He still keeps stopping and says that the techniques she is using are only used by high-ranking swordsmen and tells her to do things carefully. She thinks that all she has to do is just keep attacking him because as she gets one hit from him it would be lethal. He again stops midway and considers this whole thing unpleasant. Here, all 42 chapters of this manhwa end on a cliffhanger.